I so remember the trips to the grandparents' house for the kids because we had to go to them. They didn't do a lot of traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife's, I don't have parents. I mean, I'm an orphan. And so my wife's dad lives in Michigan, and he lived on this huge piece of property. And so we would go there and just enjoy. We'd go once, sometimes twice a year when the kids were really young. And one time, Spencer, I would say he was 11 or 12 years old, hopped on Grandpa's, with his blessing, Grandpa's blessing, John Deere, so he could mow the lawn.
Yeah.
And he ran it straight in to the pickup.
No.
And then Spencer owned it, came in and told Grandpa.
Oh, look at you, Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good that he owned up to, how old was he, 11 you said?
11, 12 years old.
That's very good.
He had to work it off that weekend.
Well, sure. That weekend.
He had to do some chores.
Yeah, Grandpa was a little lenient if he was able to
Yeah.
work it off that weekend. So I remember my grandmother on my dad's side. We would go to the grocery store, and she would all of a sudden affect airs as though she were well-to-do. And she would, Snooky, because that's what she called me, Snooky or Flossie, one of the two. And she would say, Snooky, go get me some eggs. And I would look at her like, Grandma, you from the Mill Hill. Like, stop. Stop with the accent.
You'd have the Southern accent.
Right, like, Grandma, stop.
And she'd have some British accent,
It was like she was trying to be, I don't know, better than, she thought she was, which I was like, girl, stop that. But she taught me accents, so there you go, Grandma.
Maybe she always wanted to be royalty.
Probably Pinky's up.
Yeah,
it's time for tea. Yeah. But she was, that was a fun thing. That's a fun memory
Well, good
I have.
for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Jake and Ben, who are producers, have some thoughts about their grandparents when they were doing some summer vacation over there. What about you, Jake?
Of course. My grandmother and I would always watch movies together that were deemed scary, that I couldn't watch at Mom's house. So my grandmother was a G, capital G, and she would always let me watch that with her.
Did Mom know this?
She does now.
Yeah!
She does now. What about you, Ben?
I would help my grandma with like cutting grass and doing chores and stuff, and
Good
she
for
would
you.
always have like a fudge round and then like Kool-Aid, either orange or grape. So that was kind of my experience. She always had a snack for me or something.
Kool-Aid and fudge.
A fudge round.
What's a fudge round?
One of those little Debbies. So they've got the oatmeal cakes.
Oh, so you had like a Debbie cake.
Yeah.
Of course.
Is that called a fudge round?
The fudge round is the one that has like a fudgy center, and then it's almost like really gooey brownie on
all
the
I had was
outside.
the Swiss cake rolls.
Oh, right. But that's
Yeah.
your milk. Yeah. So Grandma was like, he cut my grass. Here's your fudge round.
My grandma used to feed me all kinds of snacks and stuff, like cupcakes and stuff and cookies that she would bake. And we'd also feed her birds. She had like all kinds of treats in her backyard. So we would go out and put food in the feeders and clean them and stuff like that.
What a beautiful memory.
The bird feeders, and I bet almost, I don't know if she is out in her own house or not, but possibly there's a bird feeder, or there will be, just because of that memory.
At her house?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My wife has bird feeders all over the place. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 bird feeders.
Really?
Yeah.
Spectacular. We had a matriarch. Granddaddy died when I was 2. Grandmother lived till I was 26, so I have a lot of fond memories of her. She was a true matriarch, taught Sunday school, parliamentarian for the women of the church. And she would give the girls wine jelly, but the boys couldn't have any. She had a bunch of rowdy sons, and they were all World War II veterans. She knew about rowdy sons.
I'm sure she did. You sugar them up like that with jelly and they bounce it all over the walls. And by the way, are you Trace Atkins?
Right?
My word, your voice is amazing.
Trace Atkins is listening. All right, Michael texted and said, here's what he remembers. My grandparents lived on a big farm, and during the summers when he would visit, he loved going frog hunting.
Oh, come on now. How nice is that, Michael?
I know. I can just see him in his little overalls looking for some frogs.
Okay, Michael, you're now in overalls.
Sorry.
Enjoy that.
It's just what I do.
What the memory. Here's another open mic for the My His Radio app.
One of my favorite memories with my grandmother was in the summertime. If it was raining, we'd pack a basket, a blanket, and head to the park and have a picnic in the car. No more blah rainy days.
There you go.
That is such a good idea. For if, the next couple of days, if a shower or thunderstorm comes up, just get in the car with a blanket and a picnic.
Why not?
I know. Make the most of it. It's an adventure.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
I didn't see it whatsoever on Friday night. I had the opportunity to be with a team of worship leaders, and we went to a men's shelter where they're rehabilitating, and they're a year-long program. So we had a night of worship there. So I missed it completely, the whole thing. But boy, did I see the posts that happened over the weekend.
And even that night, I didn't see it either. But my Facebook was blowing up, my Instagram too.
All the different variety of emotions and feelings and things that were said and things that were said and all the stuff. And I started thinking through all of this, and I'm like, man, this world is just messed up no matter what you say.
Upside down.
It's so it's like you reach up and you touch the ground. That's how much upside down this planet is and so far from God. And there seems to be this boldness across the board. Outside of the Olympic ceremony, there's this boldness across the board of mocking the very creator of the universe, and it seems to be louder than ever before. And so I started getting challenged in my own faith, and I'm like, am I bold enough in my faith that people know that when I am present, that I love Jesus, And then it reminded me, while Jesus was hanging on the cross, he literally was facing a crowd, and he was facing the leaders that scoffed him, that sent him to that cross. And you know the story. And when I look at Luke chapter 23, verse 34, it says, Jesus said this, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." And the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. And you know the rest of the story of our Savior that hung on the cross for you and for me. And I'm like, man, thank you, Holy Father in heaven, for loving us so much that you sent your Son to die for our sin. And boy, when we're far from Christ, we don't know what we're doing. We think we know what we're doing. We think we know what the mocking is all about. And yet, Jesus so lovingly just laid himself on that cross for you and me.
Yeah. And it just makes it so important, and it's always been important, just to share that love of Jesus, because we can't expect the world to act like Jesus if they don't know Jesus. And so it's our responsibility to love them through it.
Yeah.
Love them closer to that relationship.
For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that none should perish, but have everlasting life.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
I cannot. It gives me such anxiety. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio. And maybe you have somebody in your family that does this. But Rob got down to 0 miles on your gas tank.
Oh, she's bringing that up. This happened last week. You're still hanging on to that thought?
Listen.
So let me tell you what happened. Okay.
Whatever.
So I had so much on my mind, and I'm thinking I got 15 miles on my car to go. And I'm thinking, you know what? When I got here, I'm thinking, okay, when I'm done for the day, I'll get gas on the way home. Totally forgot all the way on the way home. I mean, totally forgot. I just had, those days you have a lot on your mind. I don't know if you're like this, but that'll happen to me. My mind is just swimming with all the stuff that needs to get done. And then you got back to school and everything else. So I drive home after I'm done for the day. I wake up the next morning and I look as I'm starting my car, 0 miles left for gas in my driveway.
No, like my blood is running cold right now just thinking about it.
So literally, I'm sitting here thinking, am I even going to make it to the gas station? So I prayed, because there's a station a mile and a half from my house.
Yeah.
Literally a mile and a half from my house. I'm praying the whole way that I don't have to push my car uphill to get to
Both
the
ways.
gas station.
In the snow.
In the snow with sand spurs. So I'm like, I made it by the skin of my teeth. And I'm like, usually it gets down to a quarter of a tank. I'm filling it up. I see
can't
it
get
20.
that low.
I see 25 miles or 80 miles. I'm like, I better do something now. I'll let it get under 100.
Mine, 190. 190 is where I go, I probably want to just go ahead and fill up the tank. And I start getting nervous when it goes under that. And I don't know why. I mean, 190, that's a lot of trips.
Right?
In
it
town.
is a lot of trips. You're not going to, 190 is okay. Under 100, 80, 50, that's usually, sometimes I get to 25 miles left. I don't look at how much is left of, the quarter of a tank or half a tank.
Sure.
I look at the miles
The
because you can
miles.
see the miles now that are left of the gas.
My husband drives an F-250. So this thing gets no gas mileage.
That's a chugger.
Right. And so like when he gets down to 20, 25 gallons or miles left, I'm like, really? Don't you think you might want to pull into a gas? I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah, but it also, is he diesel?
No.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just regular.
Well, Joey, dude. I get this text from Kristen, and she said, literally I'm looking at my car, and she shared a picture. It was 30 miles left to go, and she's thinking, before or after work? She's getting it before now. Don't pull a Dempsey. Wow.
Okay, so Kelly texted, and she said, so the other day I drove to work, totally forgot I needed gas. So I ran by the grocery store. By the time she got back in her car, it said she had 2 miles left.
Oh, Kelly.
But thankfully, there was a QT right beside the Aldi's where she had gone to shop. She said, so all I had to do was go behind the parking lot and turn right. The Lord provided. Yes, he
Sure
did.
did. Even if you have to push it, you're at least close enough.
I know. She said normally if I get down to a quarter of a tank, that's where I feel comfortable stopping. But just kept pushing it.
Yeah.
The worst is when I'll say, I'll get it in the morning. And then I get up in the morning and it's a deluge. Like it's just pouring down rain. And then I'm like, why didn't I stop last night?
I know, right?
Oh.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Buc-ee's is like doing this summer road trip thing, which I'm thinking, wait a minute, school's starting soon here. Are you kind of late in the summer to tell people you're doing this? But they're doing like $1,000. You use that, travel to every Buc-ee's that there is, and then do your thing on it.
So do you have to like review each of the Buc-ee's?
Oh, there's something that's got to be a part of it. If they're asking to go visit them and then giving you $1,000 to do it, of course there's a string attached.
Yeah, I figure it's either blogging about it, reviewing it, doing Yelp, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you review the bathrooms.
This one's clean. That
And,
one's really
and
not.
the beaver, what are they called?
Beaver nuggets.
The beaver nuggets and all that other stuff and all the food. I'll buy a cowboy hat if I won.
See, they got to
and then-
give extra money though.
I know. I don't
all
think
that.
$1,000 is enough to
I
travel to
don't
all of them
either.
because that includes your hotel and the
Yeah.
gas to get there and all that stuff. And it's $1,000. I'm feeling it. There needs to be some more. Plus, they give you some stuff so you can buy stuff at Buc-ee's too.
Oh, well, that
if
helps.
you win that opportunity.
Okay.
But then I hear, I wonder, it can't be. The Buc-ee's would be done in time for someone to do it when it opens up in Brunswick because they're building a Buc-ee's in Brunswick now.
Yeah, which is awesome. Another Buc-ee's if you like that kind of thing. Seems like when you're on a road trip, you always got to stop at the Buc-ee's. But,
I saw a unique sign because you see the Buc-ee's signs, 233 miles to the next Buc-ee's and then the
Right.
countdown to it, right? I passed one, and then I think 200 miles later, there was 200 miles, and it was a U-turn to get to the Buc-ee's that's behind me because there's not one in front of me at that point.
that would be awful.
Right?
That would be, what? I got to go back?
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
When I was a teenager and that little Mars planet would show up on my face, I'd be like, Mom, I can't go to school.
Mars plant. Oh,
Yeah, that
pimples.
pimple.
Pimples. Okay.
I'd be
I
like,
get it.
Mom, I cannot go to school. Well, this generation is taking it in stride. In fact, they're using pimples as a fashion accessory.
What do you mean?
So what is happening with kids that are in school right now is there are stickers. This is a company that is ingenious. They have come up with these little stickers. They might be a smiley face or a star or just all kinds of things, and you put them on top of your pimples. So it is medicated. So it is helping to get rid of the pimple, but also it's covering it up so you don't have that little Mars planet on the end of your nose.
Mars planet.
And why it was always on the end of my nose. And it was just like,
The
like Rudolph.
blackheads?
No, not a blackhead, like an actual pimple. Mm-hmm. Like, watch out, she's going to blow.
Oh, man.
It was awful.
Were you a squeezer? Did you squeeze the pus?
That's so gross.
Yeah, but
so gross.
yes or no?
Sometimes,
You did.
yes, I would
Mhm.
mess with more with the blackheads, I think, than the. Why are we
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about this?
I was really blessed at that age not to have those.
I didn't have many, but when they showed up.
Oh, but I had friends. It was everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. And would have to wear, put on the actual medication.
My
to
two
help.
middle kids, I don't believe ever had them.
Yeah. But the others did a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is. It's just the different makeup of different people, and everybody struggles with something. But yeah, I mean, it was just I didn't get a lot of them, but when I got them, they were humongous.
You could see 'em.
A mile away. Here she comes.
It calls it Mars. No wonder.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Okay, you get a call, and it's from your kid's school, and you kind of brace yourself, especially in the middle of the day when school time is still there, and you're like, oh, goodness gracious. And you know your kid because, sometimes it's not great.
Oh, they're an angel.
They're always an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this one mom, she saw that the call was coming through. It was the principal, not just the teacher. It was the principal of the school.
Big time
Yeah.
problems.
And so she's thinking, what in the world did this kid do? So the principal's laughing. And she said, your kid just made my day. Mom's like, oh, woo!
That's good.
Thank you. Okay, good. And she said, okay, what's going on? She said, well, he kind of showed us that he had a new friend. Opened the book bag, the kid's book bag. There was a squirrel. Not just a squirrel in it. The squirrel had passed away.
What?
To the great beyond. And so the squirrel's down in the book bag. Mom's like, what in the world is happening? Principal said, well, he told us he wanted to have squirrel dumplings for dinner, and so he's going to bring you.
What? He wanted to eat it?
He wanted.
Did he find the squirrel in this state?
I think he found it on the playground. So first of all, let's wash our hands. And
Yeah.
second of all, fumigate the book bag. And third, no dumplings.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
All right, so kids are getting ready to go back to school, and maybe they're getting their fresh new haircuts. For boys, they might be asking to look like broccoli because,
Excuse me?
there's a new style of haircuts, and it's called the broccoli cut.
How do you do that?
Here's what I think about. I honestly think about Justin Timberlake from the early 2000s when he was part of NSYNC, and he had a perm. Well, his hair's curly anyway, but it has to be curly, has to be short on the sides and curly on top. So boys are actually asking for a perm in their hair.
So my youngest is 16. Eli's hair naturally does this.
Okay.
I did not know it was called broccoli. Now I can call it something.
Yes, you can. And
I called it sloppy. That's what I got.
no.
I called it, you need a haircut. And he's like, no, Dad, this is the way we do it. I'm
Yeah.
like, you need a haircut.
it's the thing. So maybe put some product in it and scrunch it around a little bit to make it look a little more broccoli-like, because that seems to be the thing.
They
to
call
do.
They call this broccoli?
It's a broccoli cut.
That doesn't look like broccoli to me, but I
Well,
guess.
I mean, if you look at the top, the tree of the broccoli, the top of it, not the stalk, then that's what I think it looks like it.
Okay.
If you put the scrunchy stuff
What do you?
in it.
Then how about the celery cut of hair?
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
I'm feeling for this guy who came from overseas. I think it was Belgium, and he was visiting Death Valley. I mean, it might have been on his bucket list. So he's on the flat sand dunes, and he decides, you know what? I'm just going to take my shoes off, and I'm going to walk. Well, here's the thing. It's 123 degrees outside. You know how hot it is when you take your sandals off at the beach when it's really hot. The sand's a lot hotter. So the guy loses his shoes somehow as he's walking. He's like, I don't even know where they are. And then he has to sit down because his feet burned. Turned out he has third-degree burns, and they wound up having to fly him to a hospital.
Yeah, they couldn't even really communicate with him because he doesn't speak English and they don't speak Belgian, I guess. Or French, I guess, is what they speak in Belgium. But anyway, so they couldn't communicate, couldn't help him find his shoes, so they airlifted him out.
I'm
And I don't mean to
feeling for
laugh.
him.
Right. I'm just like, oh my goodness, it was a comedy of errors
Right?
to get this guy some help.
They
Poor
did
thing.
finally find his shoes.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. He's got his shoes back, but he's got to go back and heal up those feet after taking them off on that hot sand in Death Valley.
Well, and the bottoms of your feet are so tender anyway.
Right.
It's like, baby's bottom skin. It's just so tender.
Yeah, this is definitely a vacation he'll never, ever forget.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
The cheese is 4,000 years old. The recipe is, at least. Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio. Archaeologists literally found tablets. And on the tablets, they're looking, this has got to be some piece of history. something so exciting. And then when they were able to interpret it, it was a recipe for cheese.
2 cups of milk.
Something like that,
It's
yeah.
an aged cheese. We have to, when
Well,
we speak
very
about
aged.
cheese, yes, we have to say aged. But I don't know. I don't want to try this recipe, and I don't know why. Their taste buds were a little different than ours.
Well, it had to endure long journeys, they say. So it was done in such a way that it could stay cheese for a while.
But I mean, cheese, I don't know how long you age cheese, but I think it's more than even a year. I'm not really versed. I'm not a cheese connoisseur. Cheese is not my thing.
Really?
I don't care for cheese that
I
much.
like Swiss, and I like cheddar,
Yeah.
and American.
Listen, my husband, any way you slice it, he wants it. Cheese.
Oh, man.
I'm just not that
Cheddar
into
and
it.
Swiss are my favorites. I've
But-
got to watch it.
I do like a good brie. Like if you make it with fig, oh my goodness.
I don't know if I've
gracious.
ever had brie cheese. My daughter named her first dog Brie
She likes brie.
because she likes
then.
brie cheese.
So
Yeah.
you've not seen the little round? You've never seen the little round like at Christmas and it's on an appetizer and it's got walnuts and maybe honey over the top of it.
No, but I've
No?
seen the round cheese at Christmas time.
Okay,
Maybe
so
I've
maybe
had
that's it.
brie and I don't even know it.
Yeah, and you just slice. It's not really sliceable. It's more of a soft cheese. So you kind of get it with your knife and put it on your cracker, or
It's a little spread.
it's like it's
I've had
almost
no idea.
spreadable. Yeah, and then you bake it. You can bake it inside of like a puff pastry, and it's delicious.
Really? I'm getting hungry.